My lords, ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome back to Railway Empire, and we're about to kick off Chapter 4, the Civil War, and hopefully we're going to get a president rating on this as well and keep up our 100% record so far. Obviously the first few chapters are quite easy, so it's quite easy to get that president rating. This one a little bit more challenging, your time limits are a little bit tighter on this one, but I think we should be okay. So let's go ahead and get started. The first task we have to do is grow Louisville to 60,000 and produce one load of weapons. So what we're going to do first of all, straight off the bat, is get rid of this station. Simply because I prefer a station that has the signalling control, so we can get our trains in and out that little bit faster. So we want a large station with signalling control, and we want to put that up right at the top of the city so we have room for extra stations later on down the line. And then we're just going to reconnect all these existing lines that we had into the city like this. Yes, we have a dead platform there, or a dead bit of track there, but that's fine. And can we get all of these in nicely? Of course we can't. Looks like I position this absolutely hideously. Okay, so let's just try that again then. Luckily it doesn't cost us anything. We get a full refund for demolishing the station, so the only thing we've lost money on is the tracks that we put down, but that's okay. Right, so let's try this again, shall we? Let's have it a little bit more lined up this time, like that. Now hopefully this time we can, yeah, there we go, that's better. And we shouldn't have any dead tracks this time around. No, there we go. And same again up here, hopefully no dead tracks once again. And it doesn't look like we're going to have any, which is really good. Okay, there we go, so that's that. What we also want to do is get a maintenance building in there. And what we also want to do while we're here is put down an industry in Louisville. Now we have to produce weapons, so what the heck, let's go ahead and put down a weapons industry. And we want to put that quite far away down here. And what we're also going to do is the chemical factory here, we're going to buy that. So let's buy that, and we're going to upgrade that and upgrade this as much as we can. So yeah, we're using a lot of our initial funds, but that's fine. It's worth it in the long run. And what we're also going to buy, in fact no we won't, I was going to buy some of these industries up here, but I'm not going to. So what we need to do now is start getting some stuff into this city. So what we're going to do, we're going to start off by supplying this warehouse that we have just here. So we're going to bring in the vegetables from Mason Estate. So let's chuck down some signals. We already have a supply tower here, so we don't need to worry about those. And let's put some signals on this line here, so we can start bringing down the wheat and the sugar as well. So let's get those trains up and running. They can be making us money in the background while we're doing everything else. So there, and we'll have 2 on that line. And then from there to there, and again we'll have 2 running this line. So that's 1 and 2. Now we want to start bringing in the supplies to get our weapons manufactory up and running. So we want a station here, which is going to bring in the iron that we require to produce the weapons. And we're going to bring this in, hook into here, but keep it on a separate line. And we'll come into, no we won't, because it's not going to let me. Of course it's not. Why, why make it easy? Why make it any easier than it absolutely has to be? Never mind, so we will have to come in early here, which is annoying, but it is what it is. And then, no, we're not doing that, we're doing that. And then we're double tracking down here into the iron mine. Put some signals down. We have a supply tower once again, but I'm going to put a second one down about there. And let's set that up. That can start bringing in the iron that we require. 1, 2, I'm going to go for 3. The next thing I want to do is double track our line up to Indianapolis. Now Indianapolis starts out with a sawmill industry in the city, and that lumber that the sawmill produces, we need it for the weapons. So we need to get this line up and running as something of a priority, which we can do readily. We already have a sanding tower again, so I'm not going to worry about that. And we're just going to let this do its own thing, and we're going to have 2 of those. But what we do need to do is make sure we have a steady supply of logs into Indianapolis, just so we can keep that lumber production churned out as fast as possible. So let's bring this line down here into Indianapolis. We have a spare platform for us to use, so we don't have to worry about the trains being stuck behind a train that is being loaded or unloaded. They can just come straight on in. And if we double track this, hopefully we have enough money. Yeah, we're going to have plenty. Put the signals down here. We do need a supply tower this time. We don't have one on this line already, so let's put one down. And let's get you bringing down some logs. We'll have 8. And let's go 4 trains down here. So that's 2. That's 3. And we can't afford 4, so guess what we're going to do? We're going to take out some bonds. Let's take out as many as we can. What the heck? And there's 4. So that's that. So we've got supply there, but we don't have supply from the warehouse into the city yet. So we need to take care of that quickly. Otherwise, all those goods that we're bringing in are just going to sit there, not helping anybody. Let's put down a maintenance shed in there as well while we're here. And do we have one? Yes, we do have one in Louisville already. Right, so big warehouse into Louisville with a full load at all times. And we're going to use 1, 2. So that's that done. We can bring in this corn. We have a connection already. So let's do this. Now we're going to have to connect this in just prior to the bridge, because you can't have more than 2 tracks on a bridge in this game. So rather than building a separate bridge over here and connecting in down there, we'll just connect it a little bit early. We'll give it a supply tower up there, even though it does have one here as well. So we want corn into Louisville. 8 cars. And we want 1, 2 of those. The next thing we're going to do is sort out this line to St. Louis. So we're going to double track this, and again we're going to have to do this before the bridge, but that's okay. So as we approach the bridge, this is where we want to come into that track there. Put down the signals, and again we already have a supply tower. In fact, we have one on there as well, so we don't need any more, but we do need to make sure we fill in the signals past the sanding tower, otherwise the trains are going to wait there while they've got all this spare track. So now let's set up a line from St. Louis to Louisville, and this is with a view to bringing in the meat. So that's 1, 2, 3 and 4. And now let's make sure we can keep a good supply of cattle into St. Louis to keep that meat industry nicely supplied. So put down a track like so, double track it, and then put down some signals with a supply tower, new line into there with a full load at all times, and I think 2 should be enough for that. So how are we doing here? We could be doing better. We need to get coal in here, so let's do that quickly before we forget. So let's bring our coal down nice and early, like this. We don't need a separate supply tower for this line because we have one here, and we also have the one just on approach to Louisville as well. What I do want to do is make sure we can get these iron trains off of that line quickly. And in fact, what the heck, we may as well do the same with coal, because then they're that little bit closer to the station, so they don't have to travel as far to get alongside to take their full load. So set up this line. We want 8, and we're just going to get as many of these as we can. Ideally we want 4. That's 2, 3 and 4. We don't need that. Last of all, we're going to bring in these logs up here as well. And again, we're going to share this line, and we're going to come in like that and come in like that. Now, in theory, what you could have done here, if you wanted to, is have a large station, because a large station will capture both of these. However, I wanted to make sure anything departing this station is only taking coal, and will handle the logs completely separately. So that's why I've done 2 separate stations for this. So again, we want a full load at all times, and if we can get 2, that would be fantastic. We're not too far off. In fact, let's just increase the game speed here, and then we'll clone this train as soon as we make a little bit of money. There we go.
You now own a weapons factory.
Okay, so let's just start unlocking some of this. You do start with a lot of research points in this, so feel free to spend them wherever you see fit. I like to go for reduced maintenance requirements and maintenance times. And there we go, that's all our points now spent up. How are we doing? So we've produced our first load of weapons. Now we just need to make sure that Louisville keeps on growing. At the moment it's not growing. However, I do think it shouldn't take too long before these goods start arriving in the city, and then we'll start seeing that growth that we need. So we have a bit of a bottleneck here, and that's because obviously we couldn't connect into this line. I wonder, however, could we come... No, we can't come out at all, can we? We could do that, but it's not really going to do much for us. So what we're going to do now is just leave it and hope that we can get Louisville to grow by the middle of the year, which I think we should, because once it starts growing, it should just snowball. I don't think we need to bring in milk. They should be having enough from an overland connection, and I think they are, so we don't need to worry about that. We just need to make sure we get plenty of iron, coal, and lumber into here to keep this weapons manufactory as supplied as we possibly can. And the only thing we're lacking at the minute is the iron. Now, if we... it would be nice to buy these and expand them. However, it's very expensive to do so. And we've already utilised our bonds, so we can't use them to do that. So it's just a matter of waiting around now until Louisville grows to 60,000, which will hopefully be pretty quick now. In preparation for what's about to happen, I'm going to put down a second large station in Louisville, again with the signalling control, and thankfully we have just enough room to squeeze that in there. So we're not going to do anything with it at the moment, but it's there ready, because we will need that a little bit later. I've also just taken a moment there to upgrade all of our trains to the Dragon from the Philadelphia, because they're a little bit faster and a little bit more powerful, and every little helps really. Okay, there we go. Did we get the gold tick? Yes, we did. So now we need to transport 12 loads of weapons. So we're producing the weapons. The only place that requires weapons is Nashville down here. So let's go ahead and connect Nashville to our network. And what we're going to do is come into this separate station here. If we can, yeah, there we go. So let's do that, and we're going to double track this, put down our signals and a supply tower, and then we want to set up a line from Louisville Station number 2, transporting weapons. It shouldn't take chemicals, but I will specify that just to make sure, down into Nashville. And we'll have the Dragon, and we'll have 2. Now 2 trains is all it should take to do this, because we only need 12, and 2 full loads would be 16. So that's 8 of them. Hopefully the second train will be, yep, fully loaded as well. So what I'm going to do, as soon as that departs, go on your way, on your way. Yep, there we go. I'm going to change this rail line, so when they get back to Louisville, they don't pick up any of those guns. And you'll see why we need to do that in a moment. So we're just going to make the game go a little bit faster now. We have the 2 trains on their way to Nashville with the weapons. So as soon as this second train unloads, that task is going to be completed. I'm also going to change the first train that is now on its way back to the Rensselaer, because this train is only going to be taking passengers from now on. So we may as well make it an express train. And we'll do the same with this one here. Use the Rensselaer. Oh no, that was the other train. That's the one. There we go. Okay, so now what we want to do, now we're not taking weapons to Nashville anymore, because we need to take them to Knoxville and to Jackson instead. Now what I was doing while I was waiting for that task, for those trains to get down there and the task to complete, is I started laying this rail line down here, and it goes into its own dedicated access point into Louisville number 2, so it stays out of the way of the trains that run down to Nashville, which is obviously important. And this train line is going to come straight in like this. 214,000, which we can afford. And we're going to double track it all the way up into Louisville number 2. Like so. So we can just about afford that. put down some signals. We have a supply tower there, but given the length of this train line, we're going to need a second one. So let's just go to a little bit faster game speed so we can get a bit more money a little bit quicker. And we want that there. So now we want a train line from Louisville number 2 into Jackson. No chemicals, but yes weapons. And we want to use the Dragon. Now hopefully, yep, you're taking a full load, so that's 8. 9, 10, 11, 12. So that's Jackson done. Let's just slow it down here. And again, what I'm going to do now is to make sure they don't take any more than they absolutely have to, is I'm going to change their orders to no longer take weapons when they return to Louisville. Because if you remember, we also need to take some weapons down to Knoxville. Now, Knoxville is right here, a little closer than Jackson. However, the train is a little bit more ropey than it is down to Jackson. We have this mountain ridge here that we have to traverse. Now, we can either go around the outside or we can go straight through. Now, given the money, if you have the money, then just go straight through. However, we don't have the money to do that, so we are going to have to go around the edge. But what I want to do is make sure we don't go into Louisville number 1, but instead go to Louisville number 2, which we are doing. So let's now... oh, that can go away. Let's now double track this all the way down to Knoxville. So we're not going to be able to afford this, but if we go a little bit faster game speed and get rid of that, we should be able to pretty quickly. There we go, that's the double tracks in place. Let's chuck down these signals down here. And we will need some supply towers. We don't have any. I think we'll get away with 1. So let's do 1 about halfway, which is somewhere around there. And then what we want to do is set up a new line from Louisville number 2 to Knoxville. And again, we want to make sure you prioritize weapons and don't take the chemicals. Not that you should, but just to make sure. And we want the Dragon. So you're going with a full load, so that's 8. And away it goes. And hopefully this second one will also go for... no, we don't have enough weapons in the city. So we'll give it a few moments and then we'll clone the trains once again. The other task we have to do is transport 2,000 passengers, which we have almost done, to be fair. So we don't have to worry about that at the moment. That's all good. How many weapons do we have available? That can go away. And we're short on iron once again. And it really is just slowed at the production side. So hopefully we'll get some iron on its way pretty soon and we can start producing more weapons. In the meantime, we just have to wait around.
That is a massive boost.
So that's that task completed. We've got plenty of time to do this, so that's not a big concern, and it is the shorter of the distances, so that's all fine. What I'm going to do now as well is these trains between Louisville and Jackson, I'm going to swap them out with an express train, so we're going to go for the Rensselaer on both of those. So that's the first one. And there is the second. There we go. I know they're bringing back beer, but it doesn't really matter. So our initial trains are heading back to Louisville and they're bringing back meat, which is perfectly fine by me. We should have some weapons in stock. So let's go ahead and, in fact, God, the train's nearly there now. There's no point cloning it at this point. It would be lovely if I could see what the chuff was going on here. Oh, it's broken down. There we go. That's 8 weapons, so that's that task completed. Let's just slow it down here because what I want to do now is, first of all, I've got a maintenance shed there. But I want to make sure these trains don't take any weapons with them when they leave. In fact, yes, they can. At this point, we don't have to bring weapons anywhere else after this task. So we're not going to ban the shipment of weapons, but we're not going to expressly encourage them to take them. There we go, that's that done. So now we need to transport 3,000 passengers from Louisville to Atlanta without stopping, and we need to grow Atlanta to 60,000 people. So let's just open the track lane so we can take stock of where we are. So we've inherited the General's infrastructure down here, not his locomotives but his infrastructure. So what I'm going to do is first of all demolish this. and replace it with a large station with signaling control.
Transport a large number of soldiers from there to Atlanta so they can help with the reconstruction. Maybe we can even
Okay.
end the war.
What we're going to have to do is, because technically this network now is not connected to our network, we need to make sure we have a cheeky connection just so it satisfies that requirement, which it's now done. So now let's go back to the large station with signaling control, and we should at this point be able to put this down in Atlanta like so, and connect this in here. Let's go for these middle tracks here, I think. Okay, so we've got signals, we've got sanding towers everywhere, so we don't need to worry about that. What we need to do is make sure we can get it growing as quickly as possible. We also need to make sure we can get some passengers down here without stopping as well, which we'll be able to do. So what I'm going to do here is connect into Knoxville. Knoxville provides meat, and meat is always a prime requirement for city growth. So I'm going to put a connection into Knoxville like so, with a supply tower. I'm also going to go ahead and make sure we have a maintenance depot here, which we do. While I was waiting, I did repay one of the bonds, so we can now recycle those and get a much more cash income, much bigger cash income from our bonds. So let's set up a line from Knoxville to Atlanta. Doesn't matter what it's taken. With the Dragon. And let's also at this point get a line from Atlanta up to Louisville, so we can satisfy that requirement to transport 5,000 passengers without stopping. So we're going to circle around Knoxville, and we're going to keep this on its own dedicated track because we want this to fly on through with minimal interruption. Now what we could also do, in fact I might do, is if it's not prohibitively expensive, is just come straight over the top of all this. We can come around a bit further and go straight on through here. That makes it a lot more direct, and then bring it in like that. So yep, it cost a lot of money to do that, but it's going to shorten the journey time considerably, and that could be make or break when it comes to making sure we get this done as quickly as possible. So let's chuck down some signals on there, and we're going to need to put some more there. Let's put a supply tower about there, and let's set up a line between Louisville number 2 and Atlanta, and we want to make sure this is passengers and mail only. Let's go for the fastest train we have, which is the Rensselaer. That's just reducing the amount of mail, so I don't care if the mail is reduced as long as the passengers don't get reduced between Atlanta and Louisville. And we're going to spam out a whole host of trains on this line. There we go. The more trains we have doing this, the better. So hopefully, in fact, yeah, they are taking this new line. So now we need to grow Atlanta. So let's start bringing in some of the goods that it's going to need for some growth. Well, first of all, you want to have wheat. We always need wheat. So a maximum of 8. Get the Dragon. We'll have 3. And again, what we're going to do here is just make sure our trains can wait down here, away from everything else. You have a lumber industry, so you're going to need logs, which you need anyway. So we'll do that. Here's your logs. Dragon. It's quite close, so I'm just going to go for 2 on this one. And again, just get these trains pushed up as far as possible. So that's that taken care of. That's wheat, that's logs. You're going to need corn. So let's go from Lewis Preserve into here. And in fact, what I'm going to do here is have more lines down this way, like this, if we can. It's had to kick out a little bit, but we can do it. And this is just to give our trains other options when they're heading in from this direction. So yeah, from Lewis Preserve to Atlanta. You're taking that new track I laid down, so it's not everything's going to get crowded in around here. We want 8. And it's quite a long journey, this one, so I'm going to say we'll go for 4. That's 2. And there we go, that's 3, 4, yeah, I think. Who knows? Right, you'll probably need fruit as well, so let's provide you with some fruit. Coming down here, nice and easy, into there. And connect that in. Put down our signals and a supply tower up here. And we want a full load. So let's go. Oh, didn't need that. We wanted that. There we go. And let's go for 3. What else are you going to need? Vegetables, I dare say you will. So let's connect into these veggies just here at Lopez Farm. And do something like this. So new line, Lopez Farm into Atlanta. A full load. And we want the dragon. And I'm going to go for 3 on this one. So that's that. What else do you need? Well, if we could get Knoxville some meat, that would be nice. Or what we could do is bring in some meat from Jacksonville. So let's do that. Let's do Jacksonville to Atlanta. And let's say have 4. 2, 3, 4. And then let's also make sure we get some cows into Jacksonville to keep that meat production going as much as we can. 2 of those. Let's also actually put down a maintenance building. Oh, it already has one. Brilliant. We also want to get some wheat into Jacksonville to keep that beer production up as high as possible. So there we go. That's 8. And let's go 1, 2, and 3. Now we're going to have quite a lot of trains down here, so I want to make sure they get themselves stabled up out of everybody's way. Research, can we unlock a faster express train? Yes, we can. The Rogers American. Brilliant. So what I'm going to do now is the trains that are running between Louisville and Atlanta, they're going to be replaced with the Rogers American. So all Rensselaers we now want to replace with Rogers American. There we go. So that's going to give them a little bit extra bonus because they're a little bit faster. So Atlanta is growing, but we need to make sure it continues to grow. It could do with some sugar. Do we have sugar nearby? We have it all the way down here. Is there anything a little closer to hand? I don't think so.
Well, I guess I'll just have to...
Just going to quickly get this milk from down here into Atlanta as well, because that's going to help with the growth and the demand satisfaction. So let's do that. Should be a nice, simple enough connection. We have rails nearby, which we can just knock on into. And there are supply towers along the way as well, so we don't need to worry about those. So yeah, let's get some milk brought up here, shall we? So at this point it is just a case of waiting. What I'm going to put down here is a weaving factory, because we have cotton nearby, so that's another demand we can quite easily satisfy. So let's do that. We're only going to need 2 here. It's not travelling too far, is it? But we want to make sure they are waiting up here where they're not in anybody else's way. And then what we can also do is align from Atlanta to Augusta, because Augusta produces clothes, so we can supply the clothes using our own textiles, which is always nice and handy. So let's do that, and we'll have 2, 3, 4. So Atlanta is still growing in the background nicely, which is really good. In fact, no, we don't want that. What I'd like to do is just get some more of these so we can get the consolidation 280, which would be nice. We could replace our dragons with the 280 consolidation. What do we need to grow Atlanta to again? 60,000. Okay, that shouldn't be too bad actually. I think we're going to be okay on that one. And we are bringing down the passengers at a decent lick, as we can see. Well, we're halfway through that task. Now we could, if we wanted to, spam down a load more trains from those 2 stations to make sure we get those passengers down as quickly as possible. But I think we're doing pretty good. See, replacing the initial station in Atlanta with one with signalling control just means our trains can go in and out as quickly and efficiently as possible without having to worry about platform assignments and overloading one platform over another. That means that we're not, Atlanta's not going to slow down in its growth while it's waiting for a delivery, which is stuck down here because its platform is full. So that's always a good idea to do when you have to grow a city as quickly as possible. Go for these tracks here, the station with the signalling control. It really does help. So nearly at 2,000 passengers now between Louisville and Atlanta, which is fantastic. How's the growth in Atlanta? Looking pretty good. What we're going to do is when we get to 60,000, we're going to put down a tourist site, provided we haven't already hit the passenger goal prior to that, because that will increase the amount of passengers travelling to Atlanta by 20%. And that includes all routes, so that we can have 20% more people coming from Louisville, which is going to be really, really handy. Other than that, it really just is a case of waiting around for this to be finished. Yeah, I was looking to unlock new locos, however, I don't think we really need to. It's not going to make or break the game. It's not going to make much difference to how quickly we get all this done. So we're just going to wait around. Let's get rid of that. So 55,000 in Atlanta and still continuing to grow. So we have good supply coming in. So that's fantastic. I think we're going to hit that goal quite comfortably. And yeah, we should hit both of them quite comfortably actually. If we can get it done by the end of the year, I think that will guarantee a golden tick on both of them. So let's just see how we do here. If we can get that tourist attraction down quickly, that'll be really good. As you see, we need 60,000 to do so, which we're very close to now. There's a 60,000. Let's put down a tourist site. That's going to boost the passenger pull into Atlanta. So how are we doing here? Just another 380 odd to go, which is not too bad at all. It shouldn't take us long to do that. We have plenty of trains running on this express line. And we have some, yeah, they're in and out of Louisville quite nicely. There's not too much gap between them all. I've got no idea why Transport Fever 2 is so incredibly laggy at times. But there we go, it is. So you'll have to forgive me for that. I've tried all sorts. I've even got it on low graphics settings, which I really shouldn't have to do with the graphics card that we have. But there you go. So just another 117 to go, and then we are all done. We have plenty of trains coming in down this line here, so it shouldn't take us long. We are going to do it by 1863, which I think will give us... Oh, there we go. That's it. Let's see. Did we get the president rating here? Of course we did. So, yep, all good over here. Let's have a look over here. It took us 1 year and 12 months to do all of this. Company value of just under 28 million, 81 rail lines, 36 stations, nearly 10,000 miles of track, and 390 wagons on duty. So there we go, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you found this helpful and informative, and it helps you achieve that president rating on this scenario if it's one that you happen to be struggling with. If you were just watching it because you enjoy the videos, then that's even better. Well, it's not even better, it's just as good. Yeah, no reason for watching is better than the other. So, yep, there we go, ladies and gentlemen. That's where we're going to end it for today. I hope you've enjoyed the video and you're enjoying the series and you're finding it useful. If you are enjoying the video and the series, then please consider leaving a like on the video. It really does help, and it also means a great deal to yours truly. If you haven't yet subscribed to the channel, then I'd encourage you to do so for future videos so you know when they're ready. But other than that, all that remains for me to say right now is, as always, ladies and gentlemen, take very good care of yourselves. It's ta-ta for now.